Hey, what's going on? Eric here. How you doing? Hope you're having a good one. Today we're going to talk about AeroPresses. Most specifically, we're going to be talking about the AeroPress Extra Large. We're going to go a little bit over AeroPress history, what the company is, how long they've been around, where they're going, and we're just going to do a little comparison between the original AeroPress and the big boy here. Before we get started, I just want to ask you to please take a quick second, do a little like, do a little subscribe if you can. If you have time, give me a comment. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate all my viewers. Trying to grow this channel here, so I appreciate your help. So the AeroPress was invented by a guy named Alan Adler. He was an inventor. He is an electrical engineer. He's a self-taught aerodynamics expert, designed himself some sailboats, won some races. Basically just a very creative guy with a great mind. And somehow that led him to, in the 80s, develop a toy called the Aerobi flying disc, which is like a new and improved Frisbee, just basically this really thin ring that you can throw and it goes really far. It won the Guinness Book of World Records for the furthest thrown flying object. It goes very far. So anyway, that was his claim to fame, and that made him have a whole new company that he designed sporting goods basically on demand. He was the go-to guy for that kind of stuff. Fast forward to 2000s, and somehow he became obsessed with coffee, wanting to make a better way to brew coffee that was less bitter and faster. Really didn't like the siltiness of a French press. Didn't like, your standard Mr. Coffee. So he decided to kind of throw his hat into the ring with that and start developing a new coffee device. So this was around 2003. Now 2003, the coffee kind of explosion hadn't started yet. I think it's fair to say this was like the late end of the second wave of coffee, which is basically the influx of espresso culture into America. Between 2003 and 2005, he developed this AeroPress and then introduced it at the Coffee Fest in Seattle in 2005. And that is basically how the AeroPress came to be. The original AeroPress was clear, it was not gray like this. Eventually they changed it to this color for a couple reasons. Number one, they wanted to address concerns over BPA, and number two, there was some issues with the original clear design staining with coffee, so they had this tinted gray version that has BPA free and is strong and is great, and this is the AeroPress that we all know and love. Basically, this was really good timing because 2005, we're starting to see the ramp up of modern coffee culture in the US. And around 2008, this thing had really started catching on, and a guy named Tim Wendelboe, who is a very famous coffee producer in Norway, held the very first World AeroPress Championships, or at that time it might have been called the World AeroPress Recipe Championship, in his roaster. It was three of his friends, he was the judge, and that was the beginning of the World AeroPress Champions. It was very appropriate because Oslo is a city that's really famous for coffee culture and really has started pushing the boundaries in light roast, things like that. It just has great coffee in general and some great coffee people. So really cool that AeroPress was kind of tied to that in the beginning of all of us kind of paying attention to this kind of thing. So in the 2010s, we see the third wave coffee boom really start to get going. And I think I picked this guy up around 2012. So this has been my AeroPress. I've had it for over 10 years now. Used semi-regularly, mostly used for travel, but very beloved AeroPress. And this is around the time in the 2010s that you start to see AeroPress really explode. Instagram is around, you start seeing people brewing AeroPresses on mountaintops, brewing AeroPresses in planes, doing all sorts of silly things with them, and it became a thing that every coffee nerd and barista had in their backpack or in their home. By 2015, we're seeing the World AeroPress Championships really growing, now expanding to 35 countries. Baristas have really become a culture to themselves now. People are organizing these throwdowns, and it's it's an exciting product. Still really cool because this is a very small company run by less than a dozen people, invented by a strange man who just had an obsession over coffee, and it's cool that had this great grassroots fame that started just from that. On a personal note, I was in Tokyo, living there in about 2015, 2016, and I was lucky enough to go to the qualifying round for Japan for the World AeroPress Championships. Super fun, great energy, just a room full of baristas and coffee nerds, just trying out different coffee recipes. And I chronicled that on my website, which is kind of defunct now, but I used to do a lot of interviews and things like that in Japan with coffee people, and introduce cafes in Tokyo specifically. I'll leave a link to that if you're interested in reading a little blog I wrote about the excitement and the fun. That's linked below. Okay, so like I said, AeroPress is kind of this little scrappy fun company that's really making one thing and doing it really, really well, and has a great grassroots following, especially with baristas and coffee nerds. And after making the same thing from 2005 all the way through the 2010s, in 2019 they released their first new product, which is the AeroPress Go, which is a mini version of the AeroPress. It comes in a nice little traveling case that it can fit all in here. This is also a mug, and it also has a lid if you wanted to pack that away after you brewed. It comes with a little scoop, and my favorite part, the switchblade stirrer, which is really, really fun. So basically, we're talking about a company that is very, very popular in the coffee world and has made two products over 15 years. So in the modern history, in the past few years in AeroPress, the biggest change in AeroPress history happens besides the invention of the AeroPress. AeroPress sells itself off to another company called Tiny Ltd, a company whose co-founders are self-professed coffee enthusiasts. One of the co-founders, Andrew Wilkinson, is a former barista and a long-term AeroPress fan. So it's good that they sold the company to people who love coffee, and that's pretty exciting overall that, we're hoping that AeroPress is in good hands going forward. So very quickly, within a couple years after buying off AeroPress, they started rolling out a lot of new products. Now, among those new products is the AeroPress Clear, which is basically the exact same thing as the original AeroPress. The only difference is that it is clear. It is clear because it kind of harkens back to the original design. Apparently there's been people who love the original AeroPress Clear, or the original AeroPress that was clear, and have held onto it for years and treasured it and hate to see it go. So they brought that back, and this one is actually made out of Triton, which apparently is some super duper tough plastic. I don't know, but anyway, as far as I can tell, it works exactly the same. It is exactly the same. It's just a little bit more expensive, a little bit cleaner look, and if you want to see the brewing process a little bit more, so there's a plus, but that is one of their new products. Another new product they came out with is a metal reusable filter. Is good, for eco-friendly reasons. It's good to have a metal filter, maybe a little bit more silty than a paper filter, but they've developed that. They also have a new little cap that you screw on the bottom that adds a little extra pressure, so you get more espresso-y AeroPress. And they also rolled out the AeroPress Extra Large, which is a big, chunky version of the original AeroPress, which we will get into in depth in a moment. And then after that initial rollout of all these new products, all of a sudden, tons of AeroPresses on the market. We have AeroPresses Clear. We also have AeroPresses with tints and other colors. And we most recently got a new AeroPress Go, which is basically the AeroPress Go, but with a better travel mug that it can fit into. And that seems to be really, really nice. I haven't tested that one out, but it's just basically an AeroPress Go with a decent travel mug. The one thing that I would like to see them develop, which they haven't developed yet, but I got a little wink one time from an AeroPress person that they might be developing it, is an AeroPress grinder that will fit inside of the AeroPress Go for storage. We know, and this is millennial coffee culture here. This is from my era, but a lot of people would pack their AeroPress camping or on trips and stuff like that, and there was a grinder that will fit right into here, and then you could pack it like that, and that was really, really exciting. But it just couldn't fit into the AeroPress Go. It would get stuck. That would be really, really cool. Kind of really, really fun. Really, really fun little thing for them to develop. Maybe they will. That'd be great. Another new product that they developed very, very recently is the AeroPress Premium, which is an expensive AeroPress for $150. It's made out of glass and metal and has a holder. It is not the rugged, throw in your backpack AeroPress. This is a AeroPress with no plastic or less plastic, which is nice. I think that is the one negative that we can say about AeroPress, that though it is durable and fun and easy, it is plastic, and the world doesn't need more plastic. I don't know if it defeats the purpose of the AeroPress, but it does kind of take away from some of its what makes it great, which is it's basically unbreakable, and it's a really, really fun product just to have and throw in your backpack, no fuss. Okay, so today we're going to go over the AeroPress XL. This is supposed to be the same exact idea, the same exact brewer as the original AeroPress. It has about double the capacity, while this guy right here has a 250 milliliter capacity. This one has about a 500 milliliter capacity. It does have a larger base on here. It does take completely different filters. You need special filters for it. It comes with 100, which is a generous amount of filters for it to come with. And you can get a refill pack of 200 filters for 12 bucks off AeroPress's website. So not expensive for 200 brews. You know, so I'm sure some people would have liked it to use the same filters as the original AeroPress, but I don't know how that would go from a brewing standpoint. What I also know about these guys is I've gone through AeroPress's recommended recipes, the recipes off their website, and they recommend the exact same brew ratios, the exact same grind size, the exact same method. So what I would like to do is to brew these side by side and see if if there's just any difference, you know, just for fun, just to see if I can taste any difference. So we're going to do that now. In the world of AeroPress brewing, there are two basic ways that you can brew. You can brew the recommended standard method, which is considered to be more safe, which is that you would brew into this vessel like this. Of course, you would have a carafe, and then you would add your coffee, put your water, stir, and then you add your little plunger. One day somebody came around and they said, hey, I don't like that. I don't like putting this plunger in here after I'm done adding stuff. That's clumsy. And so what they did is they said, why don't I just turn it upside down, brew in like this, and then I'm going to throw the cap on and flip it when it's time to brew. And that is called the inverted method. It is considered a little bit more dangerous. If you do that at your own risk, if you spill it all over yourself, you will get burnt or whatever. I would argue that this is just as dangerous, because if you trying to fumble this on there, you could knock something over. So, you know, when brewing with hot liquids, be careful. That's all I'm saying. One more thing I'd like to say about the AeroPress XL is that it comes with this little carafe, which is also made of Trident, also plastic, which is good because there's not a lot of mugs. There's not a lot of carafes that really seem to fit this well, though this is famously just goes on top of any mug or cup. You know, just as a demonstration, I would say, you know, this is like a pretty regular looking mug, right? And it just kind of, it does start to fit in there, but then it gets stuck. And then this is a more like diner style size mug, and that's not happening. So you do kind of need this carafe that it comes with. I think that's important to have. So I'm going to do my best just to brew these side by side about the same time with the same rough variables. I will be the first to admit that I am not the most scientific coffee guy. I, of course, try to apply the right recipes, the right, you know, agreed upon best ways to make coffee. But I will also say that I don't have all the gear to do science experiments. You know, I don't have TDS meters, and I just brew coffee and I'm doing it by taste. Though, if you do have that stuff available to you, of course you can run these experiments on your own. But anyway, for now, we're just gonna do this a kind of fun, easygoing way of making coffee. We're gonna weigh everything. We're gonna use the same basic parameters. So first thing I will say is that they recommend this on a medium fine setting. The instructions on the website gave the example of using a Brazza Encore on a setting around 11. I'm gonna be using a fellow Ode with the Generation 2 burrs, and the Ode Gen 2 recommends that you put your setting between 3 and 6 for AeroPress, which is pretty broad range. So I'm gonna go right in the middle. I'm gonna do a number 4, and I'm gonna do 4 plus 2. So that brings us 1 below the 5 and 1 and 2 above the 4, if you're keeping track at home. And I'm going to do, according to AeroPress, their recipe is 32 to 36 grams for a full extra large and 16 to 18 grams for a full standard. Basically, it's they're giving you that wiggle room for your own taste preferences. So I'm gonna do roughly the basic Specialty Coffee Association agreed upon recipe of 16 to 1. So that is about 31-ish grams for the XL, and that is about 16 grams for the original here. But I'm just going to stick with the low end of the AeroPress recommendations, which puts us just a tiny bit more coffee than water. ratio, blah, 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 blah. So I'm gonna do 32, I'm gonna do 16, and I'm gonna try to do 250 milliliters of water and 500 milliliters of water here. And I'm going to use the inverted method, and we're just gonna see how that goes. We're going to be using please forgive me if I mispronounce this, Cha-Cha Gooey. This is a natural processed coffee out of Bulk Coffee in Providence. Some of the tasting notes are apple cider, mango, and black tea. So we'll see if I get that out of this brew recipe, and let's give it a shot. All right, so I got 2 scales here. One is a kitchen scale for baking and stuff. The other is a little inexpensive coffee and espresso scale. This is from a brand called MHW-3 Bomber. They're just like kind of a inexpensive coffee goods brand. They make a lot of fun coffee tools, especially espresso stuff. I will be the first person to tell you that I don't think you need a lot of fancy tools to make good espresso, but I do know that some people enjoy the process, enjoy having lots of different instruments. And of course you do, however, minimally need a coffee scale. And if you, like me, can't afford some of the higher end ones, this is a great entry point scale. I do recommend it. I will have a link to some of their stuff. Yeah, it is an affiliate link, and this is a brand that I can recommend because I've experimented with them. Scale that I can say is relatively accurate, has a timer built into it, and does not cost an arm and a leg. Check that out. One thing that I'm going to do that's a little different than the actual recipe or isn't mentioned in the recipe is I'm going to pre-wet the filters and warm up the device a little bit. So let's do that. Okay, I think we're good to go, more or less. So I will first off make sure that I have the right amount of coffee. I'm going to do 32 grams here. Okay, 16 grams, 16.2 actually. So very close, within that margin of error. Okay, all right, we're gonna level these out. Okay. So according to AeroPress's website, we're going to add water the whole way, and then we're gonna stir it for 5 seconds, and then we're gonna let it sit for 30 seconds, and then we're going to brew. We're going to press, I mean. So all in all, the whole brew process should take about a minute 30, very, very quick, quick going. So I'm going to get going on that. Now, if I was doing my own recipe, I might do a bloom first. But this is not my recipe. This is the AeroPress website's basic recipe. And so let's just see how it goes. So doing 250 milliliters on the standard one, going for 500 milliliters on the big boy. I don't know if it's gonna fit. Oh wow, just makes it. Full disclosure, could fit 244 here and 490 here. So we're going to stir it for 5 seconds. I guess that was about 5 seconds. And then we're going to let it sit for 30 seconds. All right, coming up around 30 seconds now. So I'm going to put the cap on each, and then I'm going to press. So if you're doing the inverted method, you're basically going to want to do a real quick flip, like that. And doing a press now. So there's a really cool cafe in Japan, in Nagoya City, called Trunk, and they do AeroPress for a lot of their pour-over offerings. And it's really cool to see the barista do it because they do 2 at a time sometimes, and they often use their elbow. Obviously, we got the original AeroPress to brew first because it's smaller, which means... Okay, so there's the hiss. That means in theory that they're both done. And total brew time for everything was about 1 minute 45 seconds. Okay, that's the barista in me that makes sure everything's really, really tidy. So now we're gonna let them cool a little bit, and then we're going to give them a taste test. Okay, so we've given them about 5 minutes to cool now, so they should be cold enough to taste, and I've gotten 2 little mugs that are exactly the same size, just a little bit different of glaze on there. And so I'm going to taste those in a moment. Just for fun though, I thought you guys might want to see the difference in the puck size. So one of the best things about AeroPress is ejecting the puck. Just a fun thing to do. So you can just turn them over and then give them a little pop, and you get a little puck. Okay, so anyway, let's just taste these things. So they've had some time to settle. We're gonna reincorporate any kind of solids that might have settled. Bolt Coffee in Providence, Rhode Island. Not a sponsor, no affiliate link, just a big fan of them. They're a really cool company. They're responsible for a lot of the coffee culture in Rhode Island, which is a small state with a lot of heart. Okay, so the nose is about the same on either one. Smells very much like a natural processed coffee, just very fruity. And just like a little bit stronger nose on the standard AeroPress. Getting a lot of tropical fruits in there, a little bit of spices. Very, very, pleasant, very, very exciting smelling coffee. Okay, so this is great. Super bright. Definitely still keeping that kind of tropical, I wouldn't say mango, but I would say something closer to something with a little bit more funk, something like papaya, maybe even a mild, maybe even like a mild pawpaw flavor. That's a bit of a stretch. I mean, that is not a tasting note that anyone can relate to, but definitely getting some spices in there. I can see what they mean by apple cider. Definitely getting a little bit of that black tea that's also in the tasting notes. Just very, very pleasant, natural, that is not overpowered, not over funky. Definitely fully brewed. I probably could have even gone faster with this. The lack of agitation did not seem to affect the brew. So as it is, the AeroPress standard recipe really, really did this justice. Now let's see if there's any difference between the small and the large. The bouquet is a lot less strong. Not picking up as much at all, but. Okay, so there are some subtle differences between brewing on the standard AeroPress and on the extra large. I can say that this one has a lot more body to it. Definitely getting a fuller, rounder mouthfeel. This guy is a little bit thinner in the mouthfeel, and that's also. But I'm getting a little bit more brightness, a little bit more of the acidity. This is closer to the apple cider note that they have mentioned on the package, while this one has a lot more of a kind of a tropical aftertaste. They're very close. I would say this is, for most people, negligible. I would say that it is, if you brew by the standard recipes in the exact same way, you do get a slightly different cup of coffee, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more acidity from this, a little bit fuller, more round, full-bodied mouthfeel for this one, and definitely a little bit less acidic and a little bit, it's a little bit more muddled, I might say, which is surprising, but still very, very pleasant. I would be stoked to get either of these coffees at a cafe. So in the end, what we have is a small and large brewer that work in almost the same way. It is great. I didn't really change the recipe. I just went through it the way that AeroPress said to. Very, very little maintenance. Just basically, it's pretty much as advertised. It is one of the simplest ways and easiest ways you can brew a cup of coffee with no fuss. Now, you'll see that AeroPress's website is just like stacked with different recipes for all sorts of funny, silly things, but you can also find some really, really good recipes floating around online for different AeroPress championships. But it is nice to know that if you brew it the most simple, no-nonsense way, then you can still get a really, really good cup of coffee that does the roaster justice. and you can still pick up the flavor notes that the roaster is advertising. Of course, you do need a decent burr grinder to really make them pop, but this is a great way to make a really quick and easy cup of coffee. So the XL costs about $70. It does go on sale every once in a while, and you can snag it for closer to $55, so that's nice. It is a perfectly good brewer. Who is it for? It is for someone who wants to brew more coffee than just for themselves, basically. It's pretty big, it's pretty chunky. I don't know if it's as easy to throw in a backpack as the standard brewer, but if you are a couple and you want to share your love of coffee and you don't want to make 2 pour-overs, or if you don't find Chemexes to be as delicious as Hario, this is a great way to make 2 quick cups of coffee. It is really fun. There's no real negatives to this. $70, however, is a good chunk of change for a big piece of plastic, so that's really up to your budget. Is it worth it to you? That's something only you can answer. Have you guys had similar experiences as me where they're not exact? And of course, there were a lot of things that could have made it less exact. Of course, the water temperature could have been slightly different. The timing could have been slightly different. There's lots of things that would affect these brews, but basically for your standard person just brewing at home who is going to be making a for your standard person who's making a quick cup of coffee, this is a fair illustration of how to do it and how close you can get it. I don't know, guys, if you want a bigger AeroPress, there's nothing wrong with getting this. It works, it tastes pretty close. It is plasticky and you have to use a silly little carafe. So if you were bringing it traveling, you'd have to bring this with you. That is one thing that makes it less versatile. But if you're brewing at home and you're making 2 cups, one for you and your friend, or one for you and your significant other or family member or whatever, perfectly great way of doing it. I will leave a link to AeroPress stuff. It'll be affiliate link so that you can help support the channel. That's 100% up to you. No worries, no cost to you on that. I don't know, that was fun. I enjoyed brewing it for you guys, and thank you very much for your time. Oh wait, I forgot. Oh, as usual, please maybe subscribe. Please leave me a comment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys. I don't know, but yeah, cheers. Thank you so much. I am so happy to receive this award. Oh, who am I wearing? Well, it's funny you should ask. This is actually my own design. Yes, this is the Chemex camp shirt. I hand drew this on a notepad with pencil and then digitized it and colored it and somehow turned it into a shirt. Oh, yes, it is 100% polyester. Thank you for asking. So yeah, anyway, I designed a shirt and I made it into a real thing, and I'm super excited about it because I've had this weird fever dream of making a Chemex Hawaiian shirt. And after working on it for a while, I finally made it. It is a really cool shirt that I'm very proud of. It is polyester. It is a very silly, big, flowy shirt. It is for silly, coffee, funny people, and I like it a lot. I will also let you know that they are printed on demand, so if you did for some reason want to order one, which you can in the link below, it does take about 2 weeks time for it to go from the time you order it to get to your door. Just don't want to, don't expect Amazon times on this thing. And also there are t-shirt versions as well and a tote bag. So if you want to check that out, I'm super proud of it. I think it is fun. I think it is silly, and I do like it a lot. Thank you very much. Oh, what? Oh. You're not into Chemex, you're more of an espresso person? Oh, just one moment, please. Yes, as you can see, I also made a portafilter version for you people who love espresso. I am equally proud of this one. This was super fun to make as well. Once again, hand-drawn and then digitized. So if you do want a fun, silly coffee shirt, this is the one to get. I also have a t-shirt version as well. It is portafilters front to back. I am about 6'3". This is a large. As you can see, it is a very big, flowy shirt. It also features the under pressure mark, which is my, I don't know, silly little thing that I decided to put as a clever quip with this shirt. So Feel free to check it out if you want to. Link is in the bio. Thank you so much. Even if no one buys this, I am just super excited that it exists and that I made it, and I'm very, very, very happy with it.